I guess everything's all good. Bless. So we'll definitely get into stretching the lower back and utilize the shoulders today. So what I'm thinking for hmm, yeah, yeah, it'll be good. Okay. So just to start off, I'm gonna get my glasses so I can see you from wherever I'm gonna be. And I just want to give a recap for um, for everyone that's here, just to give the reminder of proper alignment, so that as we begin our movement practice, we can carry these tools with us and use them to make those adjustments that we need to on a case by case individual basis. So hopefully the vacuum downstairs isn't too loud, but okay, cool. Just some things to keep in mind are grounding in the hands and feet, remembering that whenever your feet are placed on the mat, you want to ground them to activate those three arches in your feet. So, bringing your awareness to your big toe, your pinky toe, and your heel as your feet are grounded, grounding those down. And not only your toes, because sometimes foot alert, foot alert, foot alert. Here we go. Okay. Sometimes your toes are going to be a little lifted from the mat, but just making sure that you're grounding at the pads underneath them at the very least, and your heel. That will allow for greater stability, greater balance, and a stronger pose as we're practicing. And similarly, when it comes to the hands, I also want to bring your attention to activate these arches in the hands. We don't want to put our weight down here in the carpal tunnels. That's how people get carpal tunnel syndrome, and the doctors say you have arthritis and all this stuff. But we're going to make sure that we have the most of our focus in the base of the peace sign. That is the central pillar of the hand. That's a scientific term. They call it the central pillar of the hand in anatomy class. And whenever you focus your weight here, and then also use your finger pads, your thumb pad, and this fleshy part of your thumb, then you'll be able to have that greater stability in your hands as well. So, just beginning with just some intuitive movement. So, feel free to roll into your body, get some movement into it, opening up the shoulders, rolling them back, that quick little activation. For you, Ani, just kind of rotating in the wrists and the ankles, flexing your toes as you're moving them, flexing and pointing, just to kind of get that activation opened up. And as you are just beginning to come into your body and notice even more going on with your body, I'm going to just make my screen bigger so that I can see more of you. Okay. Awesome. So with that intuitive movement, what I mean is, as you're listening to your body, noticing those areas of tension, just begin to, slowly move into them. Allow your body to guide you. And as you're moving, you might feel like an urge to open up your hips, to move your hips, to even get a roll in your body, or whatever feels good to you, a little twist, just opening up before we get into any particular sequence. Little twist, little ball pop, and pointing, and just waking everything up. From here, I want to invite you to go ahead and, if you're not already, lay down on your back. And if it's helpful, you can turn on your camera, and you can feel free to leave yourselves unmuted. As long as there's not a whole lot of noise in the background, that's fine. And at any time during this practice, if you need my attention, if you'd like to ask a question, just go ahead and ask it, because this is the space for you and this is your practice. So here we go. We're going to begin laying down on our backs. So finding your space, just gently coming to lay down on your back. And one thing that I want to invite you to do is to close the gap between your lower back and the mat. So giving that little tilt in your pelvis so that your lower back can press a little more toward the mat. You're beginning to notice how you're breathing naturally, releasing your shoulders away from your neck, creating that long elongation in the back of your neck. I want to invite you to inhale, lifting the hands up toward the sky. We're going to create a little pyramid where your left hand is on top of your right. You're just making a little pyramid with your thumbs, and you're going to exhale that pyramid down to encircle your belly button, so to rest on your lower abdomen, just using that natural weight of your hands. Inhaling, expanding the space in your belly, your rib cage, your chest. Pausing to savor. And on the exhalation, releasing the breath fully through the mouth. We're going to go into some cleansing breaths. So we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. On the inhalation, energy is rising up your spine. So use your imagination to visualize it traveling all the way up your spine to the crown of your head, and then dropping gently the space between your brows, between your ears, where the seat of your perception, your pineal gland, sits within your brain. And on the exhalations, you're going to exhale with one breath, one full breath, emptying fully out your lungs. Pausing to savor again, and then repeat. Inhale, filling up, energy rising. Pause to savor, exhaling your breath out in one full breath at your own pace, finding your rhythm, and repeat. I'm going to do this for several rounds. And as you're breathing, just allow yourself to sink a little more deeply into your mat. To relax a little further in your muscles. To use your breath as you're inhaling, energy is rising up your spine to fill up your body with love. And on the exhalations, to exhale anything that does not serve this practice, that does not serve your greatest good. Exhaling the stale air. Renewal. Breathing in the love. And just noticing within your own being how it feels to fill up with just goodness. Continuing the breathing, continuing the cleansing breath for 3 more rounds at your own pace. Taking your time. One last breath, inhaling, filling up, energy rising, up. Pause to savor. Exhale, one breath. On your next inhalation, lifting the hands up toward the sky once more, keeping that pyramid form, left hand on top of the right. Exhale, your hands down to your solar plexus, right under your breastbone. And here, allowing your arms to rest beside you, allowing your elbows to rest, your upper arms, thumbs connected. We're going to do a quick body scan, beginning this time at the toes, at the bottoms of our feet. We're going to scan from the bottom up this time, beginning with the feet that carry us through life, that allow us to do so many things, bringing our awareness to our big toe and the rest of beautiful toes, soles of our feet, balls of our feet, the heels of our feet, the arches in our feet, the curves of our ankles, bringing our awareness to our feet and sending love to any areas of tension. Using the breath to be a ship, sending patience, sending love to any areas that need a little extra. Continuing the scan up through the ankles, through the calves, shins, knee joints, allowing yourself to melt a little further into the mat. Continuing the scan up to the thighs, noticing any areas of tension, any areas that just need a little more love in this moment. And with your breath, with your inhalations, fill up these spaces with love, with the intention of relaxation. And on the exhalation, let your breath do most of the work and trust your body to release in the ways that it needs to. Continuing the scan up to the pelvis, the reproductive organs, your hips, your thighs, your lower back, lower belly, your core, middle back, noticing any areas of tension here. And with the breath, filling them up with love, the intention to relax, the intention to be present with yourself. And on the exhalations, allow yourself just to melt a little deeper, allowing the tensions just to melt away on their own timing. And trusting that your breath, that your awareness is enough. Continuing the scan up to the upper back, your chest, solar plexus, your shoulders, collarbone, neck, your arms, tips, palms of your hands, your wrists. Using your breath to fill and travel to those areas that need a little extra love, a little extra TLC. With your exhalations, allowing them to release, allowing them to melt a little further, a little deeper. Continuing to scan up to the base of your head where it meets your neck. back of your head, your jaw, cheeks, your cheekbones, the space behind your eyes, your eyebrows, forehead, noticing any areas of tension. Sometimes we carry so much tension in our face, and it's not until these moments that we realize, not until these moments, but here is where we can send love. Here is where we can use our exhalations to release, remembering that our awareness is enough. Here I want to invite you to set an intention for your practice. What is the energy, the feeling that you wish to embody during this time we have together? What is the thing that you wish to experience? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want this practice to mean for you? And that may come up as an image, as a word, as a sentence. Let's simplify that down to one word. Hold that word in your heart. Hold it in your mind. Hold it on your tongue. Feel free to speak it out loud. There's so much power in the words that we say. What is your freedom intention for this practice? Love. And finally, I want to invite you to bring your tongue, the tip of your tongue, to the roof of your mouth to close that circuit within your body, the circuit of your energies, the positive and negative, feminine and masculine energies that we all have within our beings energetically. And bring the tip of your tongue to the roof of your mouth. The easiest spot would be behind your teeth, or you can bring it to the top of the roof of your mouth. Or you can bring it back a little further where it stops being rigid and it becomes soft, where those two points of softness and hardness intersect at the roof of your mouth. Pick the one that feels best for you. And this will allow us to have that closed circuit. So as you're breathing and as you're inhaling and the energy is traveling up your spine, and pausing and exhaling, and the energy is traveling through your limbs to all the places that it needs to go. It will allow that energy to be cultivated more strongly within your being. Sending love throughout your whole body like a flood of warmth. Allow yourself just to be present with that flood, that warmth. You could imagine it as honey. How it comes to you, it might be warm, it might be cool. Just sending love throughout your entire being one time. Feeling it. How does it feel? Bringing that movement back into your hands and feet. Lifting the hands up toward the sky. Tucking your chin toward your chest. I want to invite you to rise up. You can use your core, or you can place your hands down and your forearms and your hands rise up to a seated position. Grounding on your sit bones. From here, let's go ahead and open up in the lower back with a little opening, hip opening, lower back activating sequence. I want to invite you to inhale, hands coming up, energy rising, fingertips to the sky, creating the space in your torso, creating the space in your body, neutral spine, lower back released, core engaged, belly button to that spine, and we're gonna hinge from the hips. On the exhalation, hinging from the hips, coming down as far as you can for the first time. We'll do this for a few rounds, so just allow your hands to rest on the mat or on your shins or your knees, wherever they fall. Breathing in, creating the space, making those micro adjustments in your body so that your spine is long, your neck is long, core is engaged. And on the exhalations, energy dispersing throughout your body, wherever it needs. Come a little deeper through the stretch. You may hold on to your ankles if that feels good, or your calves. There might be a little bend in your knees, that's okay. Inhaling, energy rising, creating the space, finding that alignment in the spine, and on the exhalation, coming down a little more deeply into the forward fold, the seated forward fold. Allowing your shoulders to release away from your ears, creating the space in your lower back. Breathe into your lower back. You may flex your toes, you may activate your toes here. And continue to breathe from one last breath here. Inhaling, energy rising, remembering that tongue connection. Exhale, release, deepening the stretch. From here, I do want you to bend in your knees. Give yourself a little bend, bringing the big toes to touch. The outsides of the feet are parallel, grabbing hold of the ankles. I want your chest to be toward your thighs. So however deeply you need to bend in your knees, that is perfect. We're in a pyramid forward fold. The pyramid, the symbol of unconditional love. There. Breathing here, allowing your breaths to massage your internal organs within your belly, against your thighs. On your inhalations, elongating in your spine. There might be a gentle curve in your spine, but just elongate to create the space. And then exhale, just allowing your torso to just fall over your thighs. Breathing here. Shoulders released, collarbone expanded, belly button to spine, lower back engaged, and lower back released. Breathing into any areas of tension, noticing, making those micro adjustments. From here, you may bring your feet out a little further if that's where you're feeling flexible wise. If you feel like you can bring your feet out a little further, lowering the pyramid a little bit more. Inhale, energy rising, elongating in the spine. And exhale, the chest a little deeper toward your thighs, toward the mat. From here, inhale one last time, creating the space, and exhale, your fingertips out in front of you, your knees down toward the mat. On the next inhalation, core engaged, rising back to seated. Just allowing your hands to float down, reconnecting with your intention. One word. What was your intention again? We're going to transition into a seated spinal twist, lifting up the right knee. We're going to bring our right foot over to cross in front of the left leg. From here, if it's more comfortable for you, you can leave your foot extended, or you can bend that leg and scoop it under. Did you say something, Ami?
No.
Okay, no problem. If you need me, let me know. So here we have one knee, one foot coming in close. The other leg, your left leg, can stay extended, or you can scoop it under. I'm going to show you from here as well so that you can see. We're just going to, with our left hand, hugging in that right knee, creating some alignment. There's going to be a twist, right? So having our shoulders in alignment, we're going to lift that right hand up and exhale it down to the mat. Inhaling, creating space in the collarbone, creating space in the twist. Exhaling, your gaze over your front shoulder. Feet grounded, bottom grounded at your sit bones. Inhaling, gaze back to center. Creating the space in your spine, making those micro adjustments. And exhale, your gaze over your back shoulder. Opening up, activating in your neck. Energy rising, inhale, gaze back to center. Exhale and release the twist. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to move so that you can see me better. Releasing that leg to extend. We're going to switch. Now the left knee is raised. We're going to bring that left foot on the outside of the leg. And if it feels good to stay with your leg extended, you can flex that foot if that helps. Or you can bend it, bring it in, bringing that foot toward your bottom, creating space, inhaling, elongating the spine. I'm gonna hug in that knee with the right hand, creating that twist in the spine. And inhaling, rising, the left hand, exhaling it down toward the mat. Shoulders in alignment. Inhale, creating space in your collarbone. And exhale, your gaze over your front shoulder. Inhale, gaze back to center, energy rising. Remembering that tongue connection. Pause to savor, and on the exhalation, exhale your gaze over your back shoulder. Making those micro adjustments that feel good in your body. Does it feel good to twist a little more deeply? It does, do so. Inhaling your gaze back to center. We're going to release and twist. Releasing that foot from the twist. Coming to sit like this, we're going to transition into standing. Taking your time. And come into just rolling your spine up, or you can hinge from the hips to rise. From here, your hands are by your sides, big toes are touching, outsides of the feet are parallel. Lower back released. Let me adjust this camera so you can see my whole body. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay, so we're at the top of the mat. Lower back released, collarbone expanded, neutral spine, like a string is pulling you through the top of your head to infinity. Inhale, hands come out to the sides. Exhale, energy dispersing, hands come to hover over your thighs. Soft knees, knees not locked out. Inhale, hands come up to a little pyramid. Shoulders release. And exhale, your hands down to heart center. Grounding in your feet. Activating big toe, pinky toe, heel for stability. Inhale, hands come to the sky, fingertips toward the sky, looking up. We're gonna bring your thumb and index fingers together. Hips come forward, exhale into a backward bend. Hands come out to the sides. Drawing your shoulder blades toward one another. Opening in the heart, opening in the chest. Inhale, energy rising. Find that elongation in your spine. Don't collapse your lower back. Exhale, deepening the bend. Inhale, gaze forward, releasing the backward bend. Hips come back to neutral. And exhale, hands back down to heart center. Take a moment to give thanks, to reconnect with your intention. Realigning in the spine, creating space in your collarbone, belly button to spine. Extending the hands out in front of you, transitioning into a forward fold. Exhale, hinging from the hips, your fingertips toward the mat. Long spine, inhale, energy rising, creating space in your torso, grounding in your feet, and on the exhalation, bringing your knuckles toward the mat, or wherever they land. If it's easier to hold on to your calves, feel free to do that. Creating space in the torso, noticing any areas of tension, using your breath to send love there. Bringing your fingers back as far as they can on the mat. Creating space in your body on the inhalations and on the exhalations, deepening. Letting go. You might have a micro bend in your knees. That is okay. You might grab hold of your ankles here. That is okay. Inhale, creating space in your spine. One more time, realigning. And on the exhalation, bringing your chest toward your thighs. Here you may very well have a bend in your knees. Elbows out to the sides, shoulders released away from the ears. Opening in your chest, collarbone expanded. Send love to any areas of tension, bringing your awareness there. And on the exhalation, elongating in your legs, straightening your legs. We're going to plant our hands down onto the mat and step back with the left foot into a lunge. Gaze forward. long spine. On the exhalation, lowering your back knee down gently. A little point in your toe, let it fall down gently onto the mat. From here, grounding in the feet, use your feet to support you. Big toe, pinky toe, heel. We're going to scoop under with our arms, under our bent knee. And inhale, energy rising, hands come out and up to 3/4 of the way. Exhale, hands together. Creating space, elongating in your spine. And on the next exhalation, you're going to release your hands down to your knee. Here, if you have any yoga blocks or pillows, if you need those for stability, or a wall next to you, feel free to utilize those things. Inhale, creating space in your body, making those micro adjustments that feel good to you, noticing your hips. And on the exhalation, drawing your hips down toward the mat, deepening the stretch. Here, I want you to watch your ankle. Is it in alignment with your knee? You want to make sure that your knee is not going past your toes to protect your joints. From here, you can stay here, or you can ground yourselves with your hands on both sides. We're going to do a mini backward bend. So either your hands are staying on your knees down here, or even back here. A gentle backward bend, releasing in the lower back, core engaged, shoulders released. Collarbone expanded. On the next inhalation, energy rising, gaze forward. Releasing the backward bend. Coming back into our lunge, lifting that back knee up, gaze forward. Plant your hands onto the mat, grounding in those peace signs, those finger pads, using the fullness of your hand. We're going to step backwards, extending that foot out into a pyramid extension. Using your core. Exhale, releasing the foot down to the mat, coming into pyramid or downward dog. There, unconditional love. Pushing away from the hands, using your fingertips. You can step your feet forward. You can bicycle out your feet if they need a little bit more openness in the knees. Coming to wherever you need to be in order for your feet to be fully grounded on the mat. So if you're here and your knees are a little bent, that's okay. Still push away from your hands. Breathe here. Deep breath. Reconnect with your intention. What is the energy that you wish to embody? Feeling it in the arms. Don't collapse your shoulders. Elongate in your spine as you're pushing away from your hands. Using your breath to fill up any areas of tension. Remembering that your awareness is enough. Breathe deeply. Remembering the tongue connection, 4-part breath. Inhale, energy rising. Pause to savor. Exhale, energy dispersing throughout your body. Pause to savor and repeat. Inhale, coming up onto your toes, tippy toes, not your fingers. We're going to exhale our knees down to the mat. You can bring your knees together, bring your big toes together, outsides of the feet parallel. We're going to push away from the hands, allowing our feet to come toward our heels. So here, feel free to point your toes so that the tops of your feet are down on the mat. We're going to just sit back onto our heels here, lowering the forearms down to the mat, opening in the chest. Inhale, creating that expansion, that alignment, creating the space. Sphinx pose. Meru Anket. Meru Anket. Gaze forward, grounding in the hands, releasing in the lower back, opening in the collarbone, releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Send love to your body. Here, if you'd like to put a pillow here, if your bottom doesn't quite reach your ankles, you can put a pillow there for some extra support. From here, we're going to go a little deeper into child's pose, extending the hands out in front of you, releasing your forehead down to the mat. And here, if you have a yoga block or another pillow, you can put it down here. If your head doesn't quite reach, that's fine. Breathing here. Inhale, energy rising. Tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth or right behind the teeth. Pause to savor, reconnect with your intention in this restorative pose. Exhale, releasing, energy dispersing to all the spaces within your body that it needs to be. From here, we're going to gaze forward and transition into Cobra. So you can come onto your hands and feet, or you can scoop down low if you want a little more intensity and push up, giving a bend in your spine, pushing away from your hands, shoulders released away from your ears. Gaze forward. Inhale, create that alignment. Exhale, if you want to deepen it, allowing your head to release backwards. If this is too much for your back, instead you can go into a mini cobra, having your forearms down onto the mat. A little mini cobra may feel good. Pick your options, full cobra or mini cobra. Breathing here for one more breath. Inhale, energy rising, creating space. Exhale, releasing the head and neck. We're going to bend the toes. Getting ready to transition into pyramid or downward dog. You can come into tabletop first. Take your time here, or you can go straight into downward dog, pushing away from the hands. Walking the feet forward, breathing. Make those micro adjustments that feel good to you. Breathe deeply. This is stretching out them calf muscles and hamstrings. Strengthening in the arms, core engaged, belly button to that spine. You can do this. Remember your intention. I know it's hard. Breathe. Inhale through the nose. Energy rising. Pause to savor. Exhale through the nose. Energy dispersing to all the spaces in your body that it is needing a little more TLC, a little more love. Send your life force there. From here, we're going to step forward with our left foot. I like to come up onto my fingertips Give myself a little more room for my limbs. And come back into lunge, gaze forward. And gently allowing that back knee to fall toward the mat. Pointing that back toe. Let that top of your foot come down. Hands grounded down beside you. Going to just first creating that alignment. So making sure that your knee is not going past your toe, right? So here, scooping under with your hands. And on the next inhalation, rise up to 3/4 of the way. Here, use your supports if you need them. A wall, a chair, whatever you need. Exhale, hands come together. Creating that space in your body. Inhale, expanding in your collarbone. Releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Belly button engaged. Exhale, your hands down to your knee. Inhale, creating that space. Pause to savor and exhale your hips down toward the mat. Feeling that stretch, feeling that opening up in the hips. Creating space. Here you can leave your hands here. You can bring them down here, or you can bring them back. Backward bend. Releasing in the neck, releasing in the head. Here you could use blocks or pillows for extra support, or you can leave your hands here using one for support. Use your options, listen to your body. And release, bringing your chin toward your chest. Hands come to both sides of that front foot. From here, we're gonna lift back up into lunge. Getting ready for that pyramid extension or downward dog extension. Lifting and pushing that heel back toward that back wall. Core engaged, releasing down, exhaling down, that foot down to the mat. Pushing away from the hands. You can walk your feet forward. You can even bicycle out your knees. You're a little more warmed up second go around, right? Take your time, reconnect with your intention. What was the energy you wish to embody? Pushing away from your hands, breathe here. You're strong, you can do this. Breathe here, feeling it in your arms. Make those micro adjustments. If you need to take it up a notch, take it up a notch. If you need to ground in your hands and your feet, ground in your hands and your feet. If you need a little bend in your knee, give yourself the grace to make the adjustments you need. Breathe here, one more breath. Inhale, powerful breath through the nose, energy rising up your spine to that seat of perception between your brows. Pause to savor. Exhale, energy dispersing throughout your body to all the places that need that extra love. Trust your body to know where those places are. Coming up to our tippy toes, we're going to release our knees to the mat. Coming into Sphinx pose, knees together, big toes together, outsides of the feet are parallel. Pushing back away from the hands to sit on the heels. The tops of our feet are on the mat here. From here, we're going to lower our forearms down, elbows in alignment with our shoulders, hands grounded on the mat. Gaze forward. Feeling that opening up and your back. Use your options. If it feels good to have a pillow under your bottom between your ankles and your bottom, do that. If it feels good to have a pillow or something under your feet or just to support your ankles, do that. Take your time here. Opening up in the chest. Breathe deeply, remembering that energy circulation, 4-part breath. Inhale, energy rising. Shoulders released away from your ears, collarbone expanded. Trust your body. Make those micro adjustments that feel good. Exhale, let it go. On your next inhalation, extending your hands out in front of you, transitioning into child's pose. Another restorative pose. Exhaling your forehead down to the mat. Breathe here. Allowing your breath to fill up the lower back. Sending your breath to any areas of tension. Release. And let it go. Allow anything that does not serve your intention for this practice to just fall away. Inhale, creating the space, gaze forward, transitioning into Cobra. So use your options. Either you can come up to a tabletop, hands and knees, before moving into Cobra, or from here, you can scoop down, rise up into Cobra. Remember, you have options, full Cobra or the mini Cobra with your forearms down on the mat. The alignment stays the same. Shoulders released from the ears, collarbone expanded. The wrists are in alignment with your shoulders. On the exhalation, exhaling your neck, your head back, opening up in the chest, breathing deeply. You can do this. Take your time. Gaze forward. We're going to release out of Cobra. Here you can come to tabletop and then go into pyramid or downward dog, or you can go straight into downward dog. Use the option that resonates more with your body right now. Stepping your feet forward, pushing away from your hands, breathing, breathing. Listen to your body. Sending love to any areas of tension. Remember, we don't go to the point of pain, but we do give ourselves a good challenge. Feeling that strength in the arms. Feeling that stretch in the legs. Hands grounded, feet grounded. On the next inhalation, you can come up on your fingertips. If that helps, we're going to step forward with that left leg. And then we're going to step forward with the right. Coming into a forward fold. Standing forward fold. Creating space in your body. Inhale, elongating the spine, hinging from the hips. We're going to deepen the fold, bringing our chest toward our thighs, the knees bent as much as they need to be. Give your internal organs a little massage as you breathe with your chest toward your thighs. Inhaling, coming back to that alignment. Shoulders released away from your spine. Shoulders released away from your ears. Belly button to spine, lower back released. Straightening in the legs as much as it is comfortable. Deepening the stretch. Releasing your head. You can shake your head yes, shake your head no. Releasing that neck. And we're going to bring our palms to meet. Using our core, we're going to hinge from the hips and rise to standing. Taking your time. Core engaged. Inhale, rise. Energy rising. Exhale, your hands down to heart center. Inhale, hands, fingertips toward the sky. Creating the space in your body. Opening up in the shoulders. Releasing the shoulders away from the ears. Bringing the thumb and index fingers together. We're going to move into a backward bend. So making sure those feet are grounded. Hips come forward to help you balance. Arching through the spine. Hands come out to the sides. Shoulder blades drawn together. Backward bend. Don't collapse your lower back here. Use your breath. Fill up the space. Bring that alignment. With space comes greater flexibility. Exhale, release. And on the inhalation, coming back to standing, gaze forward, releasing the backward bend. Fingertips come back, touch at the sky. Making those micro adjustments, your lower back, shoulders released away from the ears. Exhale, hands down to heart center. Reconnect with your intention. Let me see how much time we have. No more time. Okay. So from here, you're gonna exhale, the hands down, hover over the thighs. Inhale, creating space in the body, in the spine, in the neck, in the hips. Starting at the feet, exhale, hands to your sides. We're going to go into like a pendulum swing. So moving the hands, swinging side to side, allowing them to activate your kidneys, pancreas, your stomach, your internal organs, the liver. Using the natural fall of your hands. When you're ready, just allowing them to stop at their own pace. Here, I want to invite you. You can either sit or lay back down, or just kind of let it all go before we leave today. So whether you're going to sit in lotus or something like that, or lay down on your back, just want to acknowledge you. Acknowledge the fullness of your being. Acknowledging the body for carrying you through this hour. Inhaling, hands up to the sky, forming your little baby pyramid with your left hand over the right. Just exhale that pyramid down to your solar plexus, that energy center of your will, of determination. And reconnect with your breathing. Inhaling, energy rising up the spine. Exhaling, energy going to any areas of tension. Allow yourself just to empty the mind. The thoughts can play, but simply you don't touch. Coming back to your intention. What was the feeling, the energy that you wish to embody during this time? Taking a moment just to feel gratitude in your body. Sending gratitude to your toes, to the bottom, tops of your feet, your ankles. Sending gratitude and love to your shins, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Sending gratitude to your hips, your pelvis, your reproductive organs. Continuing to breathe. Sending gratitude to your lower back, your lower belly. All this movement stimulating digestion. To your upper back, mid back, solar plexus, rib cage, all that. Lungs. Sending love and gratitude to your shoulders, your forearms, your upper arms, your wrists, your hands, palms, fingertips, your neck. Sending gratitude, love to your jaw, your cheeks, the space behind your eyes, your temples. Sending gratitude to your brows, your forehead, the crown of your head, back of your head, all that. Take a moment just to feel gratitude throughout your entire being. Just flood yourself with the feeling. And there's a remembrance that you are more than your body. You are more than your story. You are much more than the things that you can see, that you can touch, that you can hear. But you can feel you are much more than that. Just to love yourself in this moment as you are, however you are, knowing that that is enough. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. Indeed. And with that, feel free to take your time here if it just feels good to lay down for a few moments. Do so. Be present with yourself. This is your time. I thank you for practicing with me today. I wish to leave you with the reminder that you are supported in all ways, always, in ways seen and unseen. That there is an infinity that flows through this thing called life. And the truth is, you are not in your body. Your body is experienced within you. Give thanks. Ankh, eternal life. Ujah, prosperity, strength. Seneb, wellness, wholeness. Mer, unconditional love. Unconditional love. Love need not be earned. Freedom is indeed free. Thank you. Bless, how are you feeling?
Feeling
Awesome.
good. Feeling good.
Cool. I'm gonna bring you a little closer. Slide in the rug, slide in the rug. What was your freedom intention today?
Mine was actually.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You got it.
Oh no, I think we got the same one because I think I heard you say it out loud. But mine was love, just showing up selflessly in the world, um, and just being an embodiment of love.
Yeah, that was mine. What was yours?
Mine was new again. I heard you say renewal too. I said, oh, okay, this is close. This is close. This is new again. In terms of not thinking of everything that I've ever thought of before, even last week's session of how my body was interacting, just like, okay, let's try this and let's be new about it. Life intention, yeah.
Yes. Bless. Renewal. We haven't done a particular sequence yet, but there's a sequence in Kemetic yoga that's nicknamed the morning ritual. And it's followed by the Kemetic sun salutation that we did do together today. And the morning ritual has a pose that it's symbolic of renewal. It's Kepra pose. And Kepra pose, like there's several variations of it. And one of them, I wasn't sure if y'all was ready because one of them has like you're sitting between your feet, right? And so your knees are kind of out, and your hands come down. You lower yourself down with your core, and your hands come out. And this is one variation of Kepra for rebirth.
Oh.
And you rise back out of that. And of course, there are different variations too. But Kepra, rebirth, in ancient Egypt, Kemet, there was the scarab. The scarab, this right here is a scarab, this blue thing in the middle. It's like a beetle. And it would have this ball, but the ball would be it rolling dung. So it would roll poop. And that's what, those sort of beetles do. But how they looked at it was as a symbol of, as the sun comes into the sky and leaves, and the moon comes into the sky and leaves, there's this constant cycle of renewal that's continuously happening, kind of like that motion of rolling the dung. So the scarab corresponded with that idea of renewal.
I was crazy enough. So throughout it, where I'm like, okay, it seems like this muscle is being stretched during something I can't necessarily do. I was stretching like that, and I said, well, without I can't lift myself back up, but I was stretched out like that, and I said, that's full circle. I fooled with it. How do you spell that?
Oh,
Kepra.
I think it's KHEPR.
I'm a Googler, but I'll be guessing. KHEPRA. Got it.
Yeah, people spell it different because, whenever it came to the Medu Neter, which is what people call the hieroglyphs, that language, vowels were very sacred. So they didn't put vowels in a lot of stuff. So sometimes people guess
they weren't
what the spelling actually was in our English. But with the hieroglyphs, how they came up with it, which is really cool, is they would have like some sand on a basin, and they would chant the word or the energy of the word, and the sand would move around and create the symbol. And so that would be the symbol that they would use. Like every movement is like a pocket of that energy. Every symbol is a pocket of that energy. Every word is a pocket of that energy. Everything that you eat is a pocket of that energy. So everything is life force. Everything is pockets of energy. So just incorporating things that bring about that energy you wish to embody. This is a food body. Like everything that we eat and drink determines the health of this body. And so it's just energy. We eat energy, and when we exercise, when we move, when we sweat, when we do a HIIT workout, or we go sprinting or whatever, we sweating things, or we do this yoga outside in the heat or in a heated space, or sauna or whatever, we are expending energy through our breath. And so if we keep it simple that way, everything is energy, then life becomes very simple indeed. Yeah.
What's up?
So, thank you, y'all. We done went well past.
Thank you.
It is 11:22 where I'm at. Bless. But enjoy your days. and enjoy all of your moments to the utmost.
You as well.
Plus, see you soon, loves.